Fox Oldies, 98.9, 105.3, WGNY FM in New York on a fun day Saturday morning. I'm Bobo, and she is no stranger to Fox Oldies. It's our one and only mega attorney. Hey, Megan, good morning and happy Memorial Day weekend to you.
Good morning, Bobo. Exciting long weekend for us, kicking off the summer.
Oh, boy, unofficially anyway, right? Are you glad summertime is here?
Yes, I do like the warm weather. I know you told us, you more prefer the cooler weather, the fall.
Yeah.
I like warm weather.
I do, and I kind of don't mind winter, but this past winter was too darn cold. Whoa!
Oh, yeah. Very, very cold. Lots of snowy cleanup.
Well, for those that are unfamiliar with Megan, she is an elder law attorney and helps you, believe me. And there's a lot of things that you need to know, and she's here to tell us all about it, too. Megan, how about your contact information, dear?
Absolutely. So my name's Megan Conroy. I'm a partner at Blustein, Shapiro, Frank, and Barone. We have a great website people can check out for lots of information. It's www.mid-hudsonlaw.com. And a good phone number for the office is 845-291-0011.
And something else you do, too, with potential clients is to have a workshop, which is for free, correct?
That's right. So we host free workshops every other month throughout the year. Most of those workshops are in person at our office in Goshen. They run 3 to 5 p.m., and like I said, they're every other month. So our next one is actually going to be July 22nd is the next available. I know we do have several people on that list already, so because it's in person, space is limited. You do need to RSVP in advance and then make sure you secure that spot. But otherwise, it's completely free, available to the public.
All right. Megan, thank you so much. And why don't I have an idea. Look, in this age of computers, social media, different websites, there has to be some people out there that want to scam you with your last will and testament, huh?
Absolutely right. Scams are becoming very prevalent. The scammers are very smart in how they contact you. And so, like you said, in this age of technology with computers, and your cell phone is basically a computer at this point, they're going to be reaching out to you by email, but also by text message, by pop-up on your computer screen, believe it or not. So how they are contacting people is really ingenious and very convincing. And so with technology, we want to be very, very careful. But they can also reach out to you by mail, right? So sort of the old-fashioned way is getting a letter in the mail saying you have inherited something from a long-lost relative in Canada, and you just need to contact this law office to start the claims process. Those are scams. If you're not sure about it, you probably want to do like an independent phone call, but those are pretty much guaranteed to be scams. So we need to be very careful.
Wow. Is it possible, as part of a scam, they find out where the funeral home is, and they pretend to be the director of the funeral home?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't heard of that one specifically, but really the scenarios that they come up with are very, very smart. And the reason that I feel like now is a timely moment to talk about scams is because personally and in my practice, my estate planning practice, I have been contacted recently by many, many family members because their family members, either acquaintances of mine or clients of mine even, have been scammed successfully. And these scams are convincing. So whether maybe they're pretending to be the director at a funeral home or the ones that I've been seeing more recently, they're pretending to be a law enforcement agency like the police, like the FBI, they are very convincingly tricking people into providing personal information and access to funds.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
you admit, I'm sure the scammer will come up with the scenario, and someone will believe it, unfortunately.
Is there any kind of a scam going on with medical examiners? People pretending to be a medical examiner?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard that one yet.
Okay.
But again, if there is any access to financial information, they will pretend to be almost anybody, right? So if that medical examiner position would allow them to gain access either to personal information, like name, address, social security number, date of birth, or financial account information, then it probably is happening.
Wow. So these scammers, I know they're looking for money, but how do they go about doing this, and how can they become successful at it? That's what I want to know.
Sure. So I think the more successful ones, the initial communications are happening through some kind of technology. And believe it or not, I think it's probably going to be more often cell phones now than anything else. So maybe you've even received some of these alerts or messages, but a lot of times it's in the form of a text message now. And you get a text and you believe it's from your financial institution, or you believe it's from the USPS, the Postal Service, or UPS, one of the other shipping companies, things like that. And it's not. It actually isn't, but they have all of the insignia, all of the telltale signs that seem to indicate to you this is a legitimate outreach. And so what they're asking you to do is click the link or give them a call at this number because there's been some breach in your financial information or your personal information. Or I know the one I've gotten, which looked like it was from the post office, but it was not, said, I sent something in the mail, but I didn't include enough postage. And if I want to just click the link to pay the additional postage, I can do that. And then when you click that link, it looks like you're getting to the landing page of the institution you're looking for, right? So it might be your local bank, or it might be the post office or some other company. It looks just like their website. And it asks you, fill in your credit card information or your bank information, and we'll get this wrapped up for you. It's nice and convenient. And then as soon as you put that information in there, you've actually given that information to the scammer. Now they have access to your banking information or direct access to your account. So it's information that you're providing, and it's usually because you've clicked some kind of a link or communicated with them through your cell phone or computer device.
Is there anybody, like if I'm the recipient of a scam like that and I'm suspicious, is there anyone that I can contact to let them know about a potential scam?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. So what you should do when you get any kind of a communication that you're not sure about, right? Look for some of the red flags. Are they asking you for personal information, even if it's just name and date of birth, right? That's going to be personal information that they can use. So if they're asking you even for that level of information, you should be suspicious. If they're asking for account information or credit card information, you should be suspicious. And good ways to check to see if this is legitimate or not is going to be to look at who it's supposedly from, right? So if it's from what they pretend to be your banking institution, local Megan Bank, right? You're going to want to then maybe pull out your debit card or find some other way to get the contact information for Megan's bank, and you're going to call the bank independently. You're not going to call the number that they provide to you in the message or however they've communicated with you. You're going to look for an independent resource to call the bank or call the post office directly. You can check with the institution to see if this is the kind of message that they would typically send out, or if there is some concern with your bank account, because that's a big one that's been happening lately. They're saying there's an alert on your bank account, some kind of fraud. You can contact your bank independently to see if there is any issues with your bank account. So that's the first thing, is check with the institution if you're being contacted by an institution. Some institutions are not going to contact you via text message, via email, even via phone. They're not going to call you and ask you to verify personal information out of the blue, right? So a bank would require you to contact them. They're not just going to call you up. So those are all going to be things that you want to be cautious of and independently verify the communication. The other things that you can do, New York State Office of the Aging, I think everyone who has access to a computer should check that out. If you are maybe nervous about scams, you're identifying that maybe you're getting a little older and you might not be able to identify a scam as easily. If you have loved ones that might be susceptible to scams, check out New York State Office of the Aging. There are a lot of resources right on that website. There's even training videos. So I recommend everyone take a look at that. And then there's resources for who to contact if you're not sure about a scam. And then the last place, of course, is going to be contacting your local police station. You can call the 911 number. I know that feels like maybe overdoing it because it's for an emergency, but if you call 911, they're going to connect you with someone. Or there's a separate local police station phone number typically, and you can call your local police station on their non-emergent line, and they will help you to determine if this is a scam or not. And it's okay to use the police for that. They're there to help.
Wow. Megan, where do they get your name to begin with? Would that be through public information like death notices or whatever the case may be?
Sometimes it is, yeah. So I don't know if you've ever Googled yourself. I have not Googled myself. I'm terrified of what I might find, my personal cell phone number or something online. But you should Google yourself, and you'll be surprised what kind of information you can find online. It's usually a lot of public information, histories of phone numbers, even addresses, dates of birth. Some of it's accurate, some of it is not. So sometimes these things are readily available online because of previous information that you've provided and it's been sold by a company or a retailer.
Wow.
Sometimes there's breaches in companies or organizations' own security. So I think we've probably all gotten the notices before that says there's been a breach in our whatever it is, financial information or your healthcare information, whatever your personal information might be. And now they send you this notice to say you should be aware of this. And here's a free year subscription to the local credit bureau or, whatever the services that they're going to provide to you to try to protect your social security number and that information. So sometimes it's breaches in information that provides them with this. Sometimes it's just that they purchased a list of phone numbers from the local phone company and they start sending out mass text messages to see who actually clicks the link. So your information can be available through a lot of sources. And again, that's because we live in the age of technology where we enter this information online probably over and over again, hundreds of times a week this gets entered.
Boy, I hate it. I'll tell you that right now. It's really dangerous out there. It really is, especially with artificial intelligence now.
Sure, yeah. Especially with artificial intelligence, AI, it can feel a lot more like you might be communicating with a person when actually you're communicating with a chatbot or a robot, an automated system that's intended to collect this data, collect this information from you anyway. So the idea here is be aware of what a scam could look like. Be very cautious if anyone or anything is asking you for personal or financial information. And don't be afraid to try to verify the source independently. It's better to be safe than sorry.
So let me ask you this then. If a scammer browses death notices and they see the individual's name there, first name, middle initial, last name, they could actually Google that individual, couldn't they?
Oh, sure. Yep. They can Google, anyone that they have an idea of some of their contact information or some of their identifying information. They can Google it, gather up a short profile, and then use that information in whatever terrible ways they can think up.
Boy.
So sometimes we see this happening with even people that knew a decedent. They use the information of the person that passed away to do things like collect pension checks after the person has passed, or Social Security checks or things like that. Social Security is fairly secure because usually the funeral home will contact Social Security for the decedent to let them know that they've since passed. But sometimes it doesn't happen or it doesn't get processed correctly. And especially if a person knew the deceased individual, they probably have a little bit more contact information readily available to them to abuse it.
Now, these scammers, will they also go after assets like a car maybe or a house, or are they just looking for the money?
Well, they do say cash is king, so they do like the money. But there are, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen these commercials on TV, there are certain scams that happen that allow a bad actor to maybe take the title or ownership of someone's home.
Yeah.
Now, here in New York, that tends to be a little more difficult to do. I'm not saying it's impossible by any means because these people are very smart that do this, but it's a little more difficult because the process of changing ownership for a piece of real estate in New York generally requires an attorney's assistance. And there are, at least each county has their own policy, but there are generally notifications that the county will send out to say, hey, you know, you owned this property, but we noticed that there's a change in your deed. And so the county will send out the notice. They're not asking for any information, so it's not a scam. They're just saying, I'm just letting you know, if you did not change your deed, we received a change. And so you should be aware of this. You should contact us if you did not make this change. So they're trying to do better, too, to bring it to people's attention that there might have been a change that was unintended. So it certainly happens, but I feel like at least here locally, there are a lot more mechanisms in place to protect people.
Boy, that is just absolutely horrible. Now, I have another question for you. I'm just loaded with them, Megan. I'm sorry.
This is great.
What about life insurance policies? Can a scammer ever directly grab a hold of a life insurance policy and collect the money?
Sure, yeah. So you have to have some basic information, right, about the person and the fact that they have a policy and which institution it's with and probably even some of the policy numbers. But, and I do want to say that the companies that offer these policies, right, the bigger institutions, the life insurance companies, they do try to keep a lot of security measures in place to prevent this. So it's not as easy as just making a phone call typically. But if a person is able to identify that some individual has life insurance, say at MetLife, and they know it's a whole life policy, and maybe they rummaged through someone's mail and saw the account number is XYZ, they could potentially contact the life insurance company to cash out the policy or take a loan against the policy or change the ownership of the policy, some of those things. So I would say any asset could be susceptible to a scam. I don't know of anyone who has had a life insurance policy stolen away from them, but again, that's not to say it can't happen. The big one right now that I've been hearing about, and it's been quite successful, is that the scammer pretends to be a law enforcement agency like the police, like the FBI, and they are very convincing in having someone withdraw assets from their bank account. So cash and gold bars, actually, as odd as that is, they're convincing people to take gold bars and deliver the cash and gold bars to couriers. So an individual will drive up to your house and say, we'll pick this up and we'll deliver it where it needs to go, to the police or whoever. And then they literally drive away with the cash or with the gold bars. And people are doing this because they don't realize the scam is so convincing. They don't realize that this is now a scam. They've just handed over $100,000 or $1 million in gold bars, and that's gone forever.
Oh, my gosh. I can't believe how brazen these scammers really are.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like they'll do anything to collect a buck. And these scammers, thieves, I think they're the lowest form on earth, to be quite honest with you. And that's the way I feel.
Completely agree.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why a law firm like yours is where it is at right now. One of the best. And Megan, how about your contact information again, please?
Absolutely. So a good phone number for us is 845-291-0011. Our website is www.mid-hudsonlaw.com. The website has a lot of great resources on it, and it also has a place to sign up for our workshops, which, like I said, happen every other month.
Wow, so you got a workshop coming up in July, and you have people signing up for that one already, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So our May workshop was so overfull that we had a very long wait list.
Oh.
So all of those waitlisted people are on the July workshop with us now. We do still have some availability for July, but it is filling up. So do call to make that reservation or do it right on our website. You can book a seat.
I think that is absolutely awesome. But right now, we're talking about these scammers that are lurking around out there, looking to collect money, because that's what they're really looking for. But I'll tell you what, I can't believe that they could grab a hold of a title of a house. I can't believe that. How do they do that? I have no idea.
Yeah, they're very clever. You know, they spent some time thinking about this, and really, I think, you know, it just takes a little bit of planning, and then once they do it one or two times, they kind of know how the system works and how likely they are to be successful. So they're typically taking advantage of people who would probably not know otherwise, right? And that's why our senior population is so at risk with these scams that are coming through technology, because they're not as familiar with the technology that's available today. Technology has evolved so rapidly. And so the scammers are counting on the fact that if they contacted, say, 100 seniors, of that 100 seniors, maybe 20 of them would fall for this scam, right? And the other 80 might know better. They've already heard about it, or they stay current with technology and they know what to look for. But of the 20 that fall for it, that could mean a lot of money. Like I said, I've been contacted very recently. I've heard scams happening anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 to up above $250,000. And then more recently, someone was scammed out of over $1 million of assets.
Oh.
And so out of 20 people, they can really make a lot of money off of those people who were subject to the scam and didn't realize, right? Or realized and it was already too late.
And leave you high and dry. So if you were left somebody's house as an asset and the house is free and clear, a scammer could bounce on that and actually take away that title on you and actually sell that asset. Is that correct? Do I understand that right?
Sure. So that's absolutely one possibility. It can happen at the time someone passes away, or maybe they started the transaction when someone was declining, they've gotten sick, they're probably not able to pay as close attention to their assets because, you know, they've been hospitalized or they're in a facility, and they won't realize until it's way too late that the process has already taken effect. The deed has been transferred. So it can happen at any time. I would speculate that after someone passes away and we're preparing to distribute assets, it would be discovered that maybe the title has been changed on an asset or ownership, something like the deed to the house. So I don't know that that's going to be the most opportune time for a scammer, because that's when we are paying much more close attention to what assets need to be moved around. So it's more likely to be discovered more quickly. But certainly while someone is aging, while they are hospitalized, those are the times where they're becoming more susceptible to being taken advantage of.
Wow, that is just absolutely insane. It really, truly is. Now, we covered the life insurance policy thing. We also covered about the title to an asset like a house, of course, or houses, or maybe even a vacation house. But the biggest thing, the biggest scam, is they want the money. That's what they are after. And you really need to look out for these scams, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, you really do. media, technology is just such a gruesome thing if you really don't know what to look for. Megan, at your workshops, do you cover base with this stuff?
We typically don't talk about scams. At least historically we haven't. But because it's become so prevalent, like I said, I've been contacted recently by many people who are telling me their family members have been susceptible to scams. It's obvious that it is something that we need to talk about more. And so in my workshops, I do hope to at least address the topic. But like I said, for everyone who's listening, because I can't get to everybody in my workshop, right, obviously. So you probably have way better reach than I do, Bobo. So for everyone who's listening, if you want to educate yourself or your loved ones, and you should be looking at this just so you're at least familiar, you should check out New York State Office of the Aging. You can just go into Google. You can type that in. It'll come up with a .gov website, so you know it's legitimate. And then in that website, there's a button that says, help me prevent myself from being susceptible to a scam. You click that, and it gives you a ton of resources. It tells you about the different kinds of popular scams that are out there. There are videos that you can listen to for how to identify a scam, safely prevent yourself from being scammed. So I recommend, as best you can, if you can do it in a few minutes at home, check out New York State Office of the Aging, and that will have a lot of educational material.
I really have to say this to you. I mean, this thought just came to my mind. But you being an elder law attorney, I mean, you must be going crazy because there's always something new that you have to learn about. And now it's these scams on top of the legal procedures that you need to know that change.
That's very true. And so to your point, it's one of the reasons that I love the office that I work in. We have a number of attorneys. We actually practice in a lot of different areas of law, but each of our attorneys gets to focus on a particular practice area. And so my practice area is estate planning and elder law. And so when I am doing my continuing education and trying to stay on top of changes in the laws and in the community, I can focus on this area. I don't have to worry about also staying on top of criminal law or traffic tickets or all the other things that could be happening. I can really focus my energy on this area. And I think it allows me to stay on top of the new information a little better than I would have been able to otherwise. But it's a lot. It's always changing. It's evolving. Our community is changing. And unfortunately, the scams is something that I wish we didn't have to worry about, but it's becoming a bigger problem. So I just did some education last week, actually, and a big component of that was talking about the scams because they are so prevalent.
Unbelievable. Megan, if you would, your contact information again, too. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want an excellent attorney by your side for elder law, believe me, there is nobody better than Megan right here. Megan, again, your contact information, please.
Thanks, Bobo. So the website is www.mid-hudsonlaw.com, and our phone number is 845-291-0011.
And, of course, you're a partner in that law firm, which I'm very proud to say on the airwaves here. And what about your workshop now? That's coming up in July, and you need people to RSVP, right?
That's right. So July 22nd starts at 3 o'clock. It runs about 2 hours, and people need to RSVP in order to attend because it's very limited seating. I think we can accommodate about 20 individuals. And I believe at this point we're nearly half full for that July 22nd workshop.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, get there and do that. These workshops are so worth it, believe me. Megan, I really hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. You going to pull the barbecue out, or is it already out?
It's already out and waiting, Bobo.
With the weather the way it's going to be, I have an indoor smokeless grill.
Very nice. That's a good setup.
Oh, it is, believe me. Just keeping it simple. some hamburgers, cheeseburgers, ketchup, a pickle, brioche buns. Oh, yeah. Baked beans,
Ooh.
and that's the size of that.
That sounds wonderful.
Very conservative. Very, very conservative. Megan, also, I want to remind everybody, too, we celebrate Memorial Day weekend because all of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so we can have the freedoms we have today in this great country of ours, please, if you can go to somewhere where there's going to be a ceremony, please do so. It'll make you feel so good, and give those heroes, which they are, a big salute and a prayer. Please go ahead and do that if you can. Megan, in the meantime, enjoy yourself and get some early corn on the cob, too.
Will do. Thanks so much, Bobo.
You're welcome, Megan. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.